Okay, can I have your attention, please? We'll start. We'll make a start. Cahirlach, Arúchtarán, Iana, Cóglachithe agus a cóide. Tá fáilte rómh go léir anseo chun fáilte dlacha san ócáid ahantais agus calúra an écht cáiliúil atá bainte amach ag duine darbharan féin. Chairperson of the governing body, President, distinguished guests, colleagues, I'm Dr. Michael Hallum, Head of School of Health and Social Sciences, and it's my privilege to welcome you to this celebration and acknowledgement of an amazing achievement by one of our own, our colleague Dr. Karen Weeks, MTU lecturer, researcher, sports psychologist, adventurer, has become the first Irish woman to row solo across the Atlantic Ocean. I hope you have more of that left, because Karen is to be escorted into this room by a guard of honour consisting of her colleagues and students of the Health and Leisure degree programmes. So can I ask you now for another round of applause? Okay. A distinct advantage of modern day technology is that every moment of an activity can be recorded. We don't have quite the time to watch 80 days of Karen's journey, but Jim Quinn, Liam McCarthy from the Department of Creative Media and IT, and Chris Bradshaw from IT Services have compiled some highlights of the journey for us. So without further ado, can I ask Chris to press replay, please? And it's my pleasure to declare this celebration open.
Karen, your achievement is nothing short of astounding. I don't think that any of us can really fully understand what you went through. Thinking about that amount of time alone, the physical endurance, the mental strength required, the fact that the trade winds didn't even bother to show up for you, and not being able to just get up and go for a walk. Any one of those aspects is incredibly challenging, and when you put them all together, what a challenge, what an achievement. You're an incredible role model and inspiration to us all in whatever challenges we may face in life. When you had your launch in Kinvara, in the evening, I heard this little group of children, girls and boys, chanting, "She can do, she can do." Priceless.
My plan is to row across the Atlantic Ocean 3,000 miles from Gran Canaria over to Barbados, leaving in mid-December. I'm hoping it's going to take 70 or 75 days. That will make me the first Irish solo female to row across the Atlantic.
Hello, Karen. On behalf of myself and our colleagues in the School of Health and Social Sciences, I want to extend my sincere congratulations to you for your strength, your courage, your resilience in being the first Irish woman to row across the Atlantic Ocean solo. Towards this achievement, as you work towards everything you do with scientific rigour, attention to detail, but also with humility and thinking, how can this be of benefit to the world around me, the communities around me, and to people who are a bit needier maybe than others. Can I take this opportunity to quote from a poem by Samuel Ferguson, The poem is entitled Grace O'Malley. Grace O'Malley, Gráinne Gael, as you know, is another old, strong-willed seafarer from the west of Ireland. The extract goes as follows. And dared the tempest in its midnight wrath, and through opposing billows cleft her fearless path. Such was the life the lady chose, and for such choosing we commend her. I think that's very apt for you, Karen. Fair bua, Karen, agus ganari lath amakan shop.
Hi Karen, welcome back. Your mad thing, doing all the Atlantic, something that the Titanic couldn't achieve that many years ago. So just on behalf of the Health and Leisure Department, congratulations, awesome achievement. Glad to see your journey the whole way. The highs and lows, but you're always positive about it, so incredible achievement, well done. And on behalf of us all really, well done and welcome back. Cheers, Alan.
Hi guys, Karen here with Gary's GoPro rig on my head. I'm just out of the water and I don't know whether you can see those dorada fish. They're big. Hi guys, Karen here, day 28 on the Atlantic, and I just wanted to introduce you to my two friends a couple of nights ago. Hi guys, Karen here from the Atlantic. Lovely sunrise on day 37, and I just said I'd give you a quick update on what's been going on. So the last week has been tough mentally and physically, I have to say. It was, I really would have thought by now I would be in the trade winds, and look, there isn't really a puff, but the sea guys is the evening of day 44, and I just wanted to share this sunset, which is just magic. We had, I wanted to also thank people for banging drums and chanting off Cuba, and saying rosaries and praying to angels and all that stuff to pray for a bit of wind. Hey guys, Karen here from the Atlantic somewhere. I'm out. Those following the track have probably figured out I'm out in the trades by now. It's just fantastic. All our prayers were answered. Hey guys, Karen here. Day 62, would you believe, out on the Atlantic, and I'm chatting to you today from right over the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is actually amazing. Hi guys, Karen here. Day 68 on the high seas, heading towards Barbados. I just wanted to give you a quick update. So for people who've been following She Can Do, you'll see a few days ago we were in calm waters again and calm seas, and to be honest, I found that really hard. Hi guys, Karen here, day 72 on the Atlantic. Pretty windy today, as you can see around the place. And it has been windy since Sunday, so that's going to be windy for another couple of days. So. Hi guys, Karen here. I said I'd make an update on a less sunny day. You can see the squall that's just gone through. Had a lot of squalls here now this morning. I'm on the Orson's 3 this morning, and that's the third squall that's gone through, and it's only about 7:30 now. So like basically what happens is it goes pretty dark, and then the wind kicks in and makes sort of short snappy waves, and sometimes they come over the side, and then the heavy rain, and the rain this morning was biblical. Hi guys, Karen here on day 79 on the Atlantic, would you believe, and the sun is setting behind me, and Millie and me are cruising for the southern corner of Barbados as we move along here. In fairness, like we were moving up a bit northwest today, but that we just need to keep making ground because the northeast winds and wave train just keeps pushing us south. So yeah, it's a bit of a grind coming up, but we're getting there, and I really nearly hope that we won't have to go north tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we're closing in 89 nautical miles. Come on. Say hello to them. I've got a video camera going here. Are you ready? You're on. Welcome. I was escorted into the docks, the shallow draft you call it, and I could hear these drums and music and chanting. she can do. All my friends and family were there, and a load of locals and the sports minister from Barbados and the tourism guy, and it was just unbelievable. And I really would hope that she could do, has directed or encouraged people to really just try something that they want to try or have a new idea that they might take on, and that they don't procrastinate and that they don't make excuses and the time isn't right, this hurdle is there, that hurdle is there, that they just go for it and make a plan to make that thing happen.
I'll now ask Professor Maggie Cusack, President of Munster Technological University, to address us.
Thank you. 1,920. That's the number of hours in 80 days. The number of hours that Karen Weeks was out there alone, rowing the 3,000 miles across the vast Atlantic Ocean. Here's another number, 320. That's the number of protein bars that Karen consumed during her epic journey. Never again. So the number of protein bars that Karen has consumed since? 0. Yeah, indeed. So we can talk about the numbers, the time, the distance, the protein bars, but I think it's just about impossible for us to really fully understand this level of endurance, the physical and the mental strength required. It's just absolutely outstanding. And as we saw on the video clips, huge waves, storms, apparently equally challenging, as Karen said, were the calm seas, the day after day, the night after night, having to dig deep, if you can dig deep in an ocean, I don't know, but just keep going, just absolutely amazing. And the additional challenges were many. The prevailing wind really trying to push you south when you wanted to go in another direction. The fact that the trade winds didn't even bother to turn up and help you even a little. The goose barnacles attaching, and I do love the fact that biominerals get in the act, and we can discuss that later. The Dorada, not being able to go for a walk, a chat to a friend, and on and on and on. I think challenge after challenge after challenge. But through the entire challenge, what's the one thing that you see? Just these inspirational messages, hello folks, Karen here. Inspiration, educational videos about the biology, about the oceanography, the geology as you passed over the mid-Atlantic ridge. That's where our plates are pulling apart. New rocks being generated, real the evidence of the geological activity of our planet and why we can support life. All of that vitality, I think, is absolutely personified in you, Karen. That vitality and that resilience, absolutely outstanding. Karen, I know you have a great team who supported you and helped you prepare, and we've all heard Karen thank her team at every possible opportunity, but I'm sure that the members of your team would acknowledge that every piece of this achievement is yours. The first Irish woman to row an ocean solo. Only 19 women have rowed an ocean solo, and as we know, Karen did it without any backup. As it says on the She Can Do website, 1 woman, 1 rowboat, 3,000 miles of vast Atlantic Ocean. So for anyone who doesn't know, Karen's an academic, a sports psychologist, and an adventurer. Been a lecturer in sport, health and physical education at MTU since 2004. Karen's PhD, unsurprisingly, is on the topic of cognitive coping strategies of ultra-endurance athletes. So a real, clear expert on the theory of endurance. And Albert Einstein said, in theory and practice are the same. In practice, they're not. So I think at some point in the future, Karen, we'd love to hear more about your experience and maybe where theory and practice may part company, even just a little bit. But for now, we at MTU don't want to ask you to do anything, and instead we want to celebrate you, Karen, and to celebrate your achievement. That's all we want to do today. I say that, but I was here on Wednesday for Sci Fest. Karen was here speaking to school pupils and inspiring them. She's doing the same today, so I see it's probably impossible, and there's no point trying to stop the unstoppable, so I'll leave it there. So the She Can Do 2021 campaign shone a light on UN Sustainable Goals, specifically SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 14, life underwater. And Karen, you're so generous with the educational resources that are on your website. There's so many positives to come from here. The She Can Do campaign also raised over €20,000 for the RNLI and Laura Lynn charities. But I think above all of these positives, and they're all really important, but above everything, the She Can Do campaign is just truly inspirational to everyone. And for me, that really is the biggest takeaway. I think you'll probably never know how many people you inspire to come out of their comfort zone, face a fear or a challenge, and just achieve something that they otherwise wouldn't. And believe me, you've done this so many times over, and you're continuing to do it. So I think it's absolutely right and fitting that Karen's listed as one of the Irish Examiner's 100 Women of 2022. The She Can Do 2021 has this really clear message. This is a quote. Anything is possible when you have self-belief, determination, strategic planning, and the setting of progressive goals. So I think we should steal this because we're preparing MTU strategy, and I think that should be a quote right in there. So I think as a take-home message, when any of us face any challenge, I think we think about Karen and think about what Karen faced and what she achieved. So Karen's message, we're going to finish with it. She can do, and so can you. Really, that's it. That has to be a take-home. Karen, your colleagues, staff and students at MTU were so proud of you and your incredible achievement, and we have two gifts. There's wonderful pieces of music that I know Michael's going to speak about later, and we also have a piece of art that we want to present to you. And I just want to say that the artist, Bernadette Tuitt, she's a graduate of MTU Crawford College of Art and Design. She was a ship's captain for many years in California, and today her affinity with the ocean is really projected in the ceramic vessels that she produces. So it's a really special piece. It's on a very fragile stand, and everyone's terrified to take responsibility. So we're going to lift it out of the case and return it there.
Just while the presentation and photographs are happening, I'd like to quote from the artist Bernadette Tuitt. She says, "Through my explorations by sea into places accessible only by kayak, I venture into hidden and undeniably beautiful places. My explorations have led me to question our relationship with the landscape and our role in responsible stewardship of our coastal surroundings. Although the coastline appears rugged and an impervious bulwark against the Atlantic and the elements, it is vulnerable to human impact. This vulnerability is expressed in the balancing of some art pieces, such as this one, on small bases. I carefully manipulate found coastal items into the individual materials, making the found items integral to the piece. I use found items of driftwood and stone to mark, make, form, create a visible narrative from the hidden places to the public. I give expression to the creative and erosive dialogue of the water on rock, articulating the relationship between humanity and landscape. Each sculptural piece, says Bernadette, contains found coastal materials and is named for the place that inspired it. In this case, the name of the piece is Galley Head from the coastline in County Cork. I now invite Dr. Karen Weeks to come and say a few words, and I think you're also going to make a presentation.
First of all, geez, this is mad. Like, this is mad. And thanks a million for the lovely words from Maggie and from Michael and everybody else, and for the beautiful piece, and credit to the artist. It's really, really beautiful. Like, in fairness, when I rode the ocean, I didn't think I'd be coming back to this, and when I heard that we were having a thing today, I thought it would be fair play to you, Karen, here you go, pat in the back, thanks very much. So this is really, really nice, and thanks for pulling it together, to everybody that did. I think Jim putting that video clip together, I've got so much slagging for just saying, hi guys, Karen here, and they're going, yeah, we know that's you, you know. So so I apologise for that. But yeah, just a few things to say, I suppose. The first thing is, when I went out to row the ocean, like, it's a vast ocean for sure, but there's so much beauty out there. And I'm a bit hoarse now because I've been chatting all morning to school groups, but one of the things I think that I learned out there was, and one of the things even before I went, was I wanted to promote how beautiful it is, because I think a lot of people that row oceans or do these things, it's all the dramatics, it's all the storms, and we were lucky to make it through alive, and we did this, and yeah, that is part of it, and you are, like, you're at the, I suppose, you're at the mood of the storms, or the mood of the wind and everything. But really, if you look at the really, really challenging part of it, yeah, it's ongoing, but the dramatics of it are minimal. You do have big seas, but you also have those mediocre seas and beautiful calm seas, and the wildlife out there is incredible. So you're seeing whales and dolphins and hammerhead sharks if you want to hit them on the head, and beautiful birds. And Killian, I must ask you a few other birds that I haven't identified yet. And so, like, because you're out there and you're alone, your boat, I was saying this to the kids this morning, your boat actually becomes an island. And that's a known fact, so that's why you have these fish underneath the boat and the goose barnacles attach onto you. So they're bobbing out there and moving along the ocean, but you're actually providing shelter against the sun for some fish and for some incredible wildlife that's under there. So without rambling on and on and on, I just wanted to share, I was trying to think of, like, what could I sort of share with you. And one of the highlights of the trip, definitely rowing at night, and the stars and the meteor showers and all that sort of stuff. But there was one time the waves were up about here, and there was 2 dolphins hunting, and they were just powering through the waves, and they had no interest in me. They weren't playing with the boat. They were just pure and utter hunting. And to see that out in the open is like privilege, a total privilege. But anyway, thanks a million to Maggie. And thanks a million to Michael Hall. When I went to Michael Hall a year and a half ago or whatever and asked him, could I take some time off? He was 100% behind me right from the get-go. And special thanks to Paul Gallagher as well, and all the MTU crew and the Health and Leisure crew. And also I must do a special thank you to the students. An example is Kate Feeney here, and when I was going through a tougher time in the calm seas, they put a series of messages together from Saudi Arabia and from England where they'd gone and on in teaching. And getting emails, like the She Can Do team, they sent me emails that were of relevance to me. Like there was so many emails coming into She Can Do, and they were sending ones that were relevant to me. And there was a good few came from students that I hadn't seen in 100 years, or 16 years. And it was always they were saying nice things. So if you ever want to row an ocean and you want to sort of up your ego a little bit. But it was lovely, and it was very special to get the messages from the students. So to the students and to the staff, my colleagues, and to the crew up here on the stage, thanks a million for coming, and thanks for your support. Thank you.
So just, can you imagine saying no to Karen? I now invite Mr. Jimmy Deenahan, chairperson of the MTU governing body, to address us.
Thank you all very much. President Maggie Cusack, staff and students of MTU. It's just a great privilege for me to be here today. I'm especially, I suppose, honoured to be acknowledging what was a considerable achievement, very hard to describe, of Karen Weeks. She is now probably ranked among one of the greatest Irish sportswomen of all time. She's there with Mary Peters, who won the first gold medal for Ireland. She's there with Claire O'Leary, who was the first Irish woman to reach Everest. She's there with Katie Taylor, first Irish woman to win World Boxing Championship, and Sonia O'Sullivan, and all those really great Irish women that have emerged in recent years. Because there's a reason for that. Because women were not encouraged to any great extent in this country to go out there and to challenge themselves and to have that confidence to do it. And I think one of the most important things here that you have done, Karen, is launch the She Can Do campaign. That's so important. I know from my own past, I did a special report in 2004, Women in Sport, and I must say it was successful. It did get a response at the time, and now Women in Sport is really properly supported by Sport Ireland and by generally among the whole sporting world. So I think you've done a really made a major contribution for women in sport in Ireland, and I mean that sincerely as a former sportsperson myself. Also, you join now in the pantheon of the great explorers as well. Our own Kerryman Tom Crean, no doubt, and also Ernest Shackleton, and even the great St. Brendan. And St. Brendan may have been with you on that voyage, you know. He may have been praying for you there in the background. So from the point of view of sport and from the point of view of just exploration, you have made really historical statement. And I read in some paper where when you were asked to describe the achievement, and you said you were delighted to make history both for Ireland and both for your family as well, which is very important. And I was delighted as well, and there's a connection here too, that you called your boat Millie after your mother. Because, funny enough, the great Jean-Jacques Cousteau, some of you would be familiar with Calypso, but he had a little submarine, you can recall, that could take a few people down under to about 300 meters, and he called that Denise. So it was interesting that here are the two great explorers calling their boats, submarine in Cousteau's case, after a woman's name, girl's name. So basically, and Maggie has referred to the motivation, the strength you showed, the perseverance and everything that goes with it, which was extraordinary. But if you look at Karen's past, anyone that drove a bike, cycled a bike across Canada, I think it was 4,000 kilometres altogether, miles, which is a major difference. I know from doing a bit of cycling, the difference between a mile and a kilometre. When you're on a bike, you'd know all about it. But also through Alaska and through the Yukon. And if any of you were as old as me, might have read books by the great Zane Grey about the Yukon Trail, and it was always fascinating. So that was a considerable experience as well, I'm sure, going through the Yukon Trail. So overall, Karen, you've been a great ambassador for MTU. MTU is in its infancy. It's out there now competing with the other technological universities, with the traditional universities, and it's going to be a competitive world for all of you staff. There's a big competition on at the moment to attract people to MTU and all the other technological universities. But I think that you have made a great start for MTU, Karen. Your association with MTU is so important, and your performance on the Late Late Show was very important, and your performance on the Media Sense as an ambassador for MTU is very, very important, and I'm sure you'd all agree with me there. So you are now our ambassador in every sense of the word. For another week or two, she said. I hope you won't be headhunted. So look, ladies and gentlemen and students here, I know there's a very special piece coming up. I listened to this when I was down in Cork, I listened to the composer, a very impressive young individual here that's coming up. So it's a very special day for you, Karen, and for your family and for MTU. So I'm just honoured as chairperson on behalf of the other Board of Governors, all the governors on the board, just be here to acknowledge that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deenahan and Professor Cusack. I'm going to say a few words, and just to give you a sense of what's next, and there is a very special piece of music after that, and then we'll close the ceremony. I was thinking back there, and you've had two speakers, and they've very articulately put what I was going to say, and what you do when your president says what you wanted to say. Well, nothing came to mind, but no, I'll keep going. But I'd like to thank you all for joining us here for this celebration and this acknowledgement of an amazing achievement by one of our own. I say an amazing achievement, and it is, but not because it happened by chance. For Karen and her team, this amazing achievement is in fact the culmination of years of careful discussions and meeting and planning, calculations, preparation, sponsorship, and many years of building up what I think is body and soul towards sitting onto a little boat she called Millie and setting out alone on an 80-day journey, 3,000 miles, for which she alone was the captain, the navigator, the ship's cook, the maintenance crew, and the engine. She rode solo, but not strictly speaking alone, because I think while Karen sat alone in the boat called Millie, she was accompanied constantly, I like to think, by our thoughts and our dreams and our hopes and our best wishes. And it couldn't have come at a better time, because it was at the time where we were coming out of all of those pandemic restrictions, and we were looking for inspiration, I think. And then this lady, this colleague, happened along and showed us that there is a future, and it's very bright. She was also accompanied, I think, by a couple of feathered friends that we saw here, the odd hammerhead shark, an assortment of fish who probably enjoyed the shelter afforded by Millie in that great expanse of ocean. No doubt they enjoyed a warm welcome and chat from Karen, and no doubt they were rooting for her and wished her all the best as Karen, directed Millie over their life below water. So at the end of the journey, you'll have seen that there were chants of "she can do." I can imagine Karen saying, "Hi, this is Karen," or Karen here. I definitely heard you say, "Jesus, you're very efficient here in Barbados," to the dignitaries in Barbados, and in commenting about your challenge. Karen, as you may have gathered, is exceptionally positive individual, in commenting about the challenge, the absence of trade winds, the extra days of rowing, the protein bars apparently now, your summary was that it was a long haul. But I think you were up to this long haul, and as you know, if this was going to be easy, she'd have chosen something else to do. So. Something else to do to deliver the message, and I'm going to reiterate the message because I think it's worth doing. Karen's message throughout the journey was a call for women and girls to believe in your abilities to succeed in work, everyday lives, and what you put in front of yourselves to do. A call for greater female participation in adventure sports. A call for focus on 2 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, gender equality and life below water, and a reminder that anything is possible when you have, as Professor Cusack would have said, self-belief, determination, strategic planning, which I think is the vision, and then progressively extend your goals. So I'll add to the jigging around of the "she can do," because it may have started out as "can she do?" And we certainly know the answer, she can, and she did. So well done, Karen. Okay, so I'd like to invite then Macdara O'Whelan and the musicians to prepare themselves for the musical piece. And we might come around this way and sit down and make way for the musicians.
I'd rather it was off, to be honest. I'm not a very good speaker. I'm far better at playing music than I am at speaking. But I just want to say, Gurmina Mahagub, I come from a small fishing village in County Waterford called Onrine. So when I got asked, to play this, to write a piece of music, I was very honoured. So thanks to Ciara Glasheen, head of school in Cork School of Music, for getting on to me. And I don't think you can write anything without inspiration, so the inspiration was very easy. I was on a ferry in the summer when the world was a bit chaotic, as it still is in a lot of places. And I thought sometimes when you're on a boat and the ocean is all around you, you can think about how small we are. So that's what the first piece is about, and that there's nothing really to worry about in the world because we're very small creatures. And the second one is actually in 3, so there's 3 beats in every bar because it's on a slightly more positive note. as I imagined people saying she can do in 3. So I hope you enjoy, and I'm so sorry for being so nervous, but there you go.
Yeah, wasn't that brilliant? Yeah, fantastic. If I'm right, I think Karen is a musician of some note as well, so I think she'd particularly appreciate that. Before I close the event, I'd like to thank a few people and then point you to the refreshments. Not that I think you need pointing too much, but I'd like to thank our health and leisure students who formed the Guard of Honour for. I should say the health and leisure students and the academic staff of the Department of Health and Leisure who formed the Guard of Honour as Karen came in. Fiona O'Flynn, the head of Department of Health and Leisure Studies. The two students, Clodagh Quirk and Maria Marcos, who assisted in the preparations of this event. Mary Rose Stafford and Anne Looney. Who without this event we wouldn't be as comfortable or nearly as organised. So thank you very much for all of that, all of you. Can I advise everyone then, except the original platform party at least, that there are refreshments across the hallway, and I invite you to adjourn to that area while the podium party might remain here for photos. And if you didn't know already, the other star of the day, Millie, is waiting patiently in front of the Kerry Sports Academy building. You might like to go and have a look and imagine spending your 80 days in there. But thank you to everyone, and I now close. What would you? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the apologies. I thought. Okay. So Karen is going to present us with the oars that helped her cross the Atlantic. I wonder if Alan and Dave, or if we have a couple of volunteers maybe to bring the oars onto the stage, and then we'll, or unless you want to stand over there and you can lift them over. Okay, no better person. Certainly can. Couldn't say no. Just to explain, these are the oars that Karen would have used to propel herself across the Atlantic. We're going to acquire these, and they'll be on display in pride of place in, I think the Kerry Sports Academy building would be ideal for this.
I had 3 sets of oars, and these are the actual oars I did use, and they're made specifically for the size of my hands. They're made in Australia, but they're called croker oars. But what we're going to do is take Rowing Ireland as well, we're responsible. We're going to change that to MTU, and then do whatever the lads would like to. So if I could formally present these to MTU, and they're carbon fibre, so they're pretty light.
Yeah. And now I close this event, and you're welcome to adjourn to the other side of the corridor. Thanks very much, everyone.